Wow, the entire anatomical form of the octopus is intact. I'm just gonna go for it. Yeah, I'm gonna be chewing for a while. Yes, chances are you too will be tempted to put an entire baby octopus in your mouth when you come to H Mart, a growing chain of Korean supermarkets with locations all across the country. That's because while the store is filled with beloved staples like mountains of bulgogi for barbecue and miles of kimchi, the real action happens when you deep dive into the aisles, discovering just how much you love gochujang marinated squid, crunchy seaweed snacks, and the messiest, tastiest fried chicken ever. It's time to get lost in the supermarket. So you look over here, looks like just an assortment of romaine lettuce and other types of greens. But then you start to get into these really interesting leaves. This is perilla leaves, which has this amazing kind of like minty, licoricey aroma. They're kind of related to shiso leaves. And in Korean cooking, they're used in like pork stews and sometimes just like marinated in soy sauce and used as a vegetable side dish in their banchan. You have mallow leaves, crown daisy leaves, which almost look like carrot leaves, but have like kind of more minerally flavor than spinach does. These are like the moments that make me so happy to be in places like this. In the fresh produce section, you have something that does not look fresh at all, that looks in fact very old and slightly moldy, but it actually isn't. It's dried persimmon, so just like with dried figs, the white powdery stuff you see on the surface is sugar. And this is a common ingredient in Korean desserts, or you could just eat it as a snack. Here, durian is kept in the freezer container, not just because it needs to be kept frozen, but because the aroma of it is so powerful that if left unfrozen and out in the open, it would permeate the entire store. Most supermarkets do not have a cabbage section. This gentleman here is unloading the serious Napa cabbage. You might grab one of these to make a very small batch of kimchi. Kimchi is made at home in very large containers, so this is like an intensive cabbage operation. It's kind of like, well, I was just going to talk about how this type of flat cabbage stacks really well and isn't as roly-poly, and yeah. This is all of the other things, well, some of the other things that you need to make kimchi. In this case, salted wild shrimp. Now, these don't look like shrimp in the jar, but if you come in pretty close, you can see lots of tiny little eyeballs, because these are tiny little baby shrimp. And another thing that you generally put in your kimchi when you're fermenting it is this fermented sweet rice sauce, which is basically the food that the bacteria feeds on as it ferments the kimchi. To make your kimchi a reality, you need one of these, and they've got them here. These are the jugs that they ferment the kimchi in. You know, if you can see back here, there's actually even like a ceramic vat that you can put your kimchi in. H Mart supplies all the ingredients you need to make kimchi yourself, but it also serves as a showcase for the insane variety of kimchi that you'll find in Korea. The only challenge is discovering your favorite. So what we're looking at here is a shocking variety of kimchis. Young radish kimchi. There's also vegan kimchi, which is a respectable lifestyle choice. White kimchi. So this is a less spicy, more quickly fermented kimchi, so it's crunchier, like a little bit more salad-like. Chive kimchi. It practically looks like chives floating in tomato sauce. Okay. Chives still have a slight crunchiness to them. Definitely get some heat in the back of the throat and like a very powerful kind of like oniony, garlicky punch to it. Not many people know that in Korea there's a tradition of eating raw fish as well, and the way that it varies from the Japanese tradition is really fascinating. You can't exactly see the differences here, but the fish tends to be cut a little bit more coarsely. It's served with a kind of gochujang, just like barbecue would be. And then here we have a rainbow of fish eggs. Got everything from squid and tree mushroom salad to baby octopus salad.
Forget about fancy, flavorless slabs of filet. Here in H Mart's meat department, the focus is on extra fatty, extra chewy, extra flavorful cuts, often pre-marinated to become even more delicious than before.
The Korean barbecue tradition is extensive and it is fully represented here at H Mart. This practically looks like extra thick strips of bacon, but they've been sliced through like this so that the fat can kind of render out more evenly and it gets like extra crispy and delicious. You've got your fan of meat here. So this is everything from Wagyu short rib, some other cuts that I'm not immediately familiar with, lifter meat. I don't know what that is, but between the marbling and the tender little slices, I predict intense tenderness and deliciousness. You've got your tongue. Usually in supermarkets, it's really hard to find bones, and bones are so good for soup. In this case, pork backbones cut up into just the right size to go into a pot. Super useful. And ending, appropriately enough, tails. All the things you love in Korean barbecue, usually you can choose marinated or unmarinated for your meat. In this case, you don't even have to marinate it yourself. You can choose from the ribeye, the bulgogi, short ribs, ribeye steak. I mean, I kind of want one of each. Jiao meat. I mean, how often you find jiao meat sliced, marinated, ready for you to barbecue, and gizzard too, continuing the love of the chew. Sometimes things just kind of blow your world wide open, like fish meat sausage with cheese. I've never heard of this before. It looks kind of like something you would feed to kids, and apparently it converts into a piggy bank once you're done using it. For a culture in love with all things fishy and fish cake, I can see this being a really popular kid snack. And a strange cross between American cheese and fish. Never experienced anything like this before.
Yes, ramen comes from Japan, but the Korean varieties here are the perfect showcase for the country's love affair with seafood and spice. Basically, an aisle-long Valentine to the joys of a fast noodle soup.
Guys, it's a wall of ramen. It just keeps going. It starts out with some varieties that you might be familiar with and quickly morphs into a parade of udon and spiciness, fish cake. There's some oysters in that one, soybean paste. If you need your chapaghetti, they've got it.
But since I don't have a hot plate and a saucepan with me, I'm headed to the snack aisle, where the ocean theme continues.
Crispy seaweed snack with almonds. Beautiful presentation here. The almonds are kind of layered in between, kind of like a sandwich. So it's nutty from the sesame oil that they usually toast the seaweed with, but obviously also nutty with almonds, and I'm seeing some whole sesame seeds in there too.
The first thing that hits the table at a Korean restaurant is banchan, the little dishes of appetizers that add a rainbow of color and intense flavor to everything else you eat. And here, you learn just how vast the world of banchan really is.
The other beauty of a Korean supermarket is the built-in selection of ready-made banchan. Everything here is so delicious. I'm going to start off with these adorable small clams. This is probably a really bad idea to try to eat in the middle of a supermarket, but they look so irresistible. I'm realizing the worst thing to ever try to eat on camera. The varieties continue. So here, labeled pan-fried fish, actually fish cake. Not too spicy, even though there's like a fair amount of gochugaru, the Korean red pepper flakes on it. It's just really good. And then you morph over to a salted raw section. Everything from small clams and squid to a mixture of polak, also marinated in a chili type sauce. Delicious, chewy. The chili sauce is basically like conquers every possible type of seafood you can throw at it, and the seafood flavor goes really well with it.
Many regions of Korea have brutally cold winters, but the teas Koreans drink to warm their bellies have nothing to do with Lipton in a tea bag.
You're gonna see a lot of teas made from things that you never even knew you could make tea from, like corn silk. You get into some really fascinating varieties like roasted Adlai tea. If you enjoy buckwheat, why not drink tea made from buckwheat? Pumpkin and yam tea, walnut tea, mushroom Codonopsis lanceolata yam gruel. I mean, I can't even imagine the levels of wellness you would achieve drinking this tea.
Right alongside H Mart's impressive selection of ingredients is a mini food court where fish-shaped Japanese snacks stuffed with red bean paste mingle with other hybrid treats that have now become classics in Korea, like double-fried chicken drenched in honey or chili sauce and a uniquely tangy take on the spicy tuna roll. Thankfully, there's an array of classic Korean simmered stews, too.
After all this shopping, I'm ready for a snack, just like a little nibble of something. So I went to the barbecue chicken section and came back with this amazing assortment of fried chicken. Half regular honey-basted fried chicken and half doused in this sweet Korean spicy chili sauce, fried twice. It somehow manages to be super saucy and really crunchy at the same time. It's really great.
What brand is that?
It's the barbecue.
Oh, barbecue there?
Yeah, one side honey, one side Korean spicy.
Can I try it?
Sure, please.
Oh, that's good pieces. Thank you.
Sure. Kimchi, in addition to being kind of like a pickle that's eaten alongside foods, is also used as like the primary ingredient in this jjigae, which is a stew. So the kimchi basically permeates the broth and turns the whole thing into this kind of like spicy, tangy cauldron of flavor. Actually, I'm seeing some little chunks of pork belly in here. It's actually like a really, really healthy, invigorating thing. It's my favorite thing to eat when I'm having a cold. And last but not least, kimbap. So this is a spicy tuna kimbap. This is kind of like the Korean version of a maki roll. So this is cooked tuna, usually canned tuna. You got the yellow pickled radish there for some crunch and flavor. In this case, some cucumber, some carrots in there too. Looks like some scallions in the tuna, and probably some spicy mayonnaise, just because that's always a good idea. Spicy, pickly, a little bit fishy from the tuna. It's a delicious snack or a lunch to take with you. And it's just a uniquely Korean version of sushi that I'm absolutely obsessed with.
Yes, after my light snack break, I went back to the aisles of H Mart and shopped some more. Because that's the thing about Korean food. The more you discover about it, the more you fall in love with it. I, for one, have almost run out of the seaweed snacks I picked up on this trip. And when I finally do, I know where I'll be headed to discover my next obsession.